Mr. Dan Pear, international affairs analyst, former Europe editor at the Associated Press, and former chairman of the Foreign Press Association. And our main topic for today: it took years to bring down the Iron Curtain. Should Europe be the one to bring it up again? The EU doesn't want Russian tourists, but is it a counterproductive collective punishment?
This is a situation that defies a simple yes or no. I mean, it is unfair and generally ineffectual to hold a population accountable for the actions of a dictatorial government that it did not elect. And although the Russians did kind of elect Putin in a semi-free election years ago, it no longer applies. On the other hand, a horrible crime is being committed in their name, and a statement probably should be made. So some in-between solution where visas are effectively massively restricted, but it's done on a case-by-case basis with allowances for humanitarian needs and so forth, may be the right way to go.
Mostly Russian activists right now use tourist visa as a as an insurance, as a tool to get out of the country when they know that criminal case is being initiated or things like this. So right now, tourist visas are not being used like a privilege, you know.
And also, I have to say, the existing sanctions regime does enable the prevention of people who may be more directly responsible for what's happening in Russia to do tourism in Europe, or indeed to have property in Europe or in the West. I mean, there are existing aspects of existing sanctions regime that do enable punishing people who have a more direct hand in enabling the crimes committed by Putin. This clearly drives a wedge in the sense that there's going to be disagreement on what is a complex issue, but I think the major wedges in Europe are other on whether they want to have a more complete union, a common defense and foreign policy, more relevant to Russia perhaps, the energy policy issue, and maybe primarily immigration. So this, at the end of the day, I think while there will be disagreements, will not be a major wedge in Europe.
Perhaps shaking up political resistance in Russia.
Well, unfortunately, travel ban and any kind of the ban based on the nationality or based on the country of origin does not help to shake up this resistance back in Russia. It only frustrates people with pro-European minded people, because
but Alex, are you totally sure that over time that will remain the case? I understand how in the short term people just get more nationalistic and they circle the wagons when they're being punished. But I think this attaches to a bigger question, which is, despite the fact that Russia is not a dictatorship, do you think that if you put enough pressure on the Russian people, maybe in areas where they care about more than travel to Europe, that there could be sufficient change coming from below to force a change either in the actions of the regime or in the nature of the regime?
I don't think that the travel ban may cause sufficient effort coming from the like a grassroots movement or something, because Russia is a dictatorship. You cannot do anything against armed dictatorship unless you are ready to wage a war, a civil war. And I don't think there are enough people to wage a civil war. Yet that doesn't mean that Europe should not try to divide the society, in a good meaning, to show that actually there is an alternative, and that living in a dictatorship is not normal, is not okay. The travel ban does not actually help to do that. So
sure, but what I meant is, could there be other things other than a travel ban? Let's suppose we all agree a travel ban is only going to affect the nice Russians. Could there be other things that would hurt the public at large enough to cause essentially a revolution?
I don't think that hurting, economic sanctions do work. So in a long perspective, they just don't work that fast as European citizens wish them to do. But in a long perspective, they actually ruin Russian economy. But unfortunately, and that makes them poorer, really poorer, literally. But unfortunately, Vladimir Putin doesn't care about this.